What inspired you to write Beneath the Silent Moon?
Wanting to write about Charles and his father. I think that was what I started with. At a certain point in working on Secrets of a Lady, which was then, well, wasn't even Daughter of the Game yet. I was calling it The End of Reckoning, and then it became Daughter of the Game, and then it became Secrets of a Lady. In thinking through Charles's relationship with Kenneth Fraser, I knew I wanted to write a book in which Kenneth Fraser would play a role, and I could actually show Charles's relationship with Kenneth, and that was the starting place. And I also wanted to show Charles and Melanie first arriving in England and adjusting to life in England. So those two things, I think, were my starting point for the book. And I wanted to deal with Charles coming back to England, I think, and the life he might have had if he'd stayed. And in a way, Honoria Talbot, who's the girl that he might have married, represents that life. So that was another focal point when I was first plotting the book.
So that sounds like Charles is kind of the center of this book in a way. Is that true?
That's
or
true.
At least
That's definitely true. I mean, Charles and Melanie are both very important in both this book and Secrets of a Lady, but Secrets of a Lady is focused on Melanie's secrets, largely, and Charles's response to them. And although you get some of Charles's backstory in Secrets of a Lady, I wanted to do a book where I could focus on him and his family and the things that have driven him. And I think that's another reason it works well as a prequel, because Melanie doesn't know Charles as well yet. So she's learning things about Charles and his family and the forces that have shaped him along with the reader. And I wanted to do a book where I could explore those things.
So in a way, the books are kind of like bookends, because one is Charles learning secrets about Melanie, and the other is Melanie learning secrets about Charles.
You could say that in a lot of ways, yes. And there are things about Charles that you learn in Beneath the Silent Moon that you don't know, that are not revealed in Secrets of a Lady. I think the books work well separately. They each stand alone, but I think they reinforce each other in interesting ways. And I think depending on the order you read them, I think there's a slightly different effect depending on the order you read them in, which intrigues me. I love to get people's reactions reading them in either order.
So how will the Mask of Night fit into that whole pattern?
I think in the Mask of Night, Charles and Melanie know a lot about each other, and they're coming to terms with what that means for their marriage and how their lives are going to be in the light of those things. And if they can still work together and have the same kind of teamwork they've always had, with the truth out in the open. And the truth being that they don't agree about everything, that they have different loyalties in some respects, and what that's going to mean for them working together. Being a married couple and also being in essence a detective partnership. And it also deals a lot with Raoul O'Rourke and how they both relate to him, particularly Charles in a lot of ways.
What inspired you to write Mask of Night?
Well, I knew writing Secrets of a Lady, not only that I wanted to go back, but I knew I wanted to write a series. I knew I wanted to go forward. I knew specifically that there was no way in a Secrets of a Lady, which takes place over basically 3 days, that I could resolve everything. I could put the characters on the road to a resolution, but there were so many issues I knew I wanted to explore that they would have to face in the future. I actually got the idea for it at a mystery writing conference I mentioned that I went to, where I, among other things, sort of characterization workshop by Elizabeth George. One night at dinner, I got this image of a masked ball and a dead man floating in a fountain, and no one knowing who it was. And that was my initial idea for that book. But at the same time, for the plot of that book, but I definitely knew I wanted to write a book where I could sort of show Charles. I think Melanie even thinks this in Mask of Night, that they're now putting to the test all the promises that they made at the end of Secrets of a Lady to each other.